So let's solve the issue we have here. Our card, our circle per se, is taking up the entire space in our surface, which is not what we want. So what we can do actually, and this is going to help us because in the long run, that's what we want to do in a way, because we want to make sure that we have another composable, in this case, another widget on top here, right? What we want to do is to wrap our circle inside of another composable, okay? So what would that be? Well, that composable is going to be a column. We want to be able to have widgets that are from top to bottom, that are lined up vertically. What I can do really here is I'm going to put inside of a column because that's what I need. Hit enter, and then we're going to get our friend here. If you just say Command, Shift, and arrow up, Control plus Shift plus arrow up on Windows, it's going to take this entire line of code inside of column. Just like that, if I go ahead and rerun this real quick, we'll see that a few changes will happen. One important change, that is. And there we go. Now you can see instead of taking the entire space, when we put a column, it reduces the size to the correct size, which is exactly what we want. Now we still have a problem here. We want this button to be in the middle of the screen. In this case, it's going to be in the middle of our surface, because this indeed is the outer canvas where everything is being laid out. So if you hover over again our column here, you will see it's a composable and we have that modifier. But most importantly, we can now align things vertically or arrange things vertically, as well as arrange things horizontally. This is really helpful because that means we have a lot of control of whatever we put inside of our column. So let's go ahead and say I want this to vertically. So say ver, what's that? Wait a second. Vertical arrangement. So I can arrange vertically by passing arrangement like this. I want this to be center. So there are a few options. There's top, there's center, there's bottom, and so forth. So we're going to say center like this. And let's go ahead and run it real quick. We see what's going to happen. Aha, it is center. Yes. However, you see, we said vertically, we want this to be center. So vertically, it is indeed in the middle if we go top to bottom. But we also want to horizontally be in the middle. How do we do this? Well, we're going to go ahead and say horizontally. Let's add a comma there. I'm going to say horizontally. I said align. I want center horizontally like this. If we run this again, and voila, now the button is indeed in the middle of the screen, which is exactly where we want. Now remember, I'm passing inside of my app here, which is being called in our set content. And my app, as a composable, we have a surface, and inside of this surface, this is the surface with this color. Inside of the surface, we added a column, and we made sure that everything or anything that is inside of this column is going to be vertically arranged center and center horizontally arranged horizontally. That's what we get there. Very good. And of course, inside of our column, that's where we create the circle. We call create circle, which is indeed this composable here. And right away, you can see that indeed we have everything in the middle as well, right? Because we're just previewing, we've now passed the my app, which contains the surface, and we're passing, there's a column there, and then we're calling the create circle. And there you have it. So next, what is there we want to do? Well, next we want to pass at the top here. What I can do actually, I can go straight and put a text, right? And this text here will say what? Well, I want this to say hello. And this text here, I can say text. Now, there's another thing to notice, very interesting here, is that we can actually pass named arguments here. And it's really a good idea to pass named arguments, because especially when we start passing a lot of arguments into our composables here, things get a little bit chaotic if we don't add these named arguments. Okay, you don't have to. In fact, you can just go ahead and just say something like this, hello, and that still works. But it's a good idea to always pass the actual argument name, something like this, and then pass the values, the data in this case. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and say 100 like this. Of course, this is going to be, inside of double quotes. Oops. Let's go ahead and refresh. And there we go. So it's hard to see, but there it is. And we have our tap button, which is a button now because we made it clickable. And then we have the text there. Now imagine that we want to put some sort of space between this circle and this text. How do we do this? Well, there is a specific composable that we can use called spacer. Like I say, spacer like this. Again, you can pass a modifier. The modifier in this case could be a few things. So I'm going to say modifier. Let's go ahead and just type it all out, modifier. And because I want the height of this modifier, and because I want to make sure, let's go back again here. I want to make sure that the height, right, between this widget and the next one, there's some sort of separation. So the more height I have, the more separation I get. That's why I can then go say modifier dot height and give a value, let's say, of 30 dp. Let's refresh. And there we go. You can see there is that space that we need. So the more space we give, let's put 100, you can see the greater this number is in our height, the more space we'll get. So we have things set up as we want. They're looking really good. Let's go ahead and run one more time onto our emulator so we can see exactly how all of this transpired. There we go. We have our app is looking real good, but you notice that the text is really small here. We want to make this a little bit bigger. How do we do that? Well, funny you ask, we can go inside of our text here. If you hover over again inside of our text, remember this is still a composable function. We can pass, of course, the text. We pass the string, there it is, but we can also pass other arguments. That's the beauty again of compose here. Of course, we know we have the modifier, our good friend. We can pass the color, font size, font style, and so forth. But you see that the last one we have here is style. This is more free-form way of styling our text. I'm going to use that so I can show you. So I'm going to say comma, I'm going to put style, and we can pass a text style type. I can start saying text style like this, and you can see we have text style default and many other. We have there's text style, and you can see if I hit enter, inside of a text style, we can pass all kinds of arguments. Oh, this is beautiful. So we can really customize our text to our liking. Look at all of this. All right. So in this case here, I can go and change the color. I can probably say, put enter, a new line. I'm going to say color and set color. I'm going to use this color here. And then I want this to be white. Okay. And then I can say option space, and then I can say font size. Right, for font size I'm going to say 19, and now I'm going to use a different unit, which is SP. Okay, so whenever you want to use font sizes, SP is the recommended. So I'm going to say Alt or Option Enter to import SP library. There we go. And now if I run this, there we go. It's 100, still small. So we can play, let's say 39. That's much better. Okay, because we just change a style, an attribute here. You notice that we didn't have to rerun everything to see the changes. So this looks great. Maybe 30, maybe 35. Can play with this forever. Okay, so there we go. It looks really good, and we can make it bold. I can say font weight, and then I'm going to say font weight, and then go get bold. The other thing I can do, I can start typing bold like this, and the IDE will actually give the option for bold or extra bold. Let's say extra bold because we're feeling extra today. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. Okay, there it is. So we were able to put together this user interface. Okay, so it's very simple, but at least it's going to guide us, understand how things will work, how to compose, no pun intended, how to compose a nice user interface as you see here. Now, obviously, the whole idea is that we want to make sure that when we tap, as we tap this button, we made this a button, it's just a circle. We want to increase this number here, right? We'll start at 0 and go from there. And that's what we're going to be doing in the next video.